everybody, it's Stephen and Walter back again for another edition of So Chatty for September the 5th, 2025. And today, as our title says, a few of our faves and hates. Someone requested that we go through some of the things that we really like, that we can't live without, and some of the things that were just a useless waste of money. Now, we have done these kind of things before, but it's been a while, and maybe some of these things have changed since the last time. There may be a few repeats, but we're counting on the fact that you won't remember. So, because we don't, but then we have an excuse. We're old. So, we're going to do that. But before we do that, just a sneak peek at what I've been doing, because I'm going to tell you a tale of woe on next week's Idiot Quilter about this particular thing. Yes, those blocks up there are for the Stormy Seas quilt. It will take me forever to make. I've got now, 5 blocks made. So the big one down here, this one, there were problems. And all I'm going to say is it involved a specialized ruler that cost me about 75 bucks to get my hands on. And there's a couple other things too. But not going to tell you about that at all. It's fine. It'll fit in the quilt, but it's not absolutely perfect. But we'll come back to that.
Well, it wouldn't be one of your quilts if it was absolutely perfect.
I like to refer to that as a personalized customization. It's my style, yeah. And of course, you can see there, I'm still working on those Dollarama felt bags. There's the front panel. They basically take me, each bag takes me 2 days to embroider. Yeah, this is number 4 I'm working on right now. Only 8 more to go after that. The crunch is on. Have to have them for Christmas. So, anyways.
So, like, got a monkey on your back, got a gnome on your back.
Yeah, you're so funny. Little humor. Very little humor.
Gnome parasites.
Yeah, gnome parasites. You take the Christmas right out of a bag, don't you? Just, you can't, like, they're cheerful little happy gnomes all stacked on top of each other around the Christmas tree.
It's sort of like he's growing a big pimple in the shape of a gnome.
Yeah, don't let them near your children. Okay, so what's it? Now you got me all. That's what I've been working on. Walter hasn't been doing any sewing really. He's been working on Japan because we're going to Japan next May. So Walter's been busy doing all kinds of research and putting things together, and we've already got our flights all ready to go, and he's looking at accommodation and bullet trains and octopus and I don't know what else.
No, the octopus, yeah.
Yeah, well, we saw that. You can have octopus, yeah.
I don't know about that yet. Sort of like herring.
Well, according to my hairdresser, I was mentioning that to her today. Yes, I did get my hair cut today and my beard trimmed. She said she's had octopus. She's Italian. They like it. And she says it tastes very much like calamari. She says it doesn't really have a lot of flavor to it except in the way it's been prepared. And I said, well, is it rubbery? And she says it can be if it's overcooked.
Yeah. Or
it's been sitting around for a while. But she says it's a very mild taste. And somebody told me that they thought it tasted like shrimp, and she said, not to her. Maybe it depends on the way it's been prepared.
The way it was described on what I looked it up, and it's described as sweet, sort of between a scallop and I don't know, like it's sort of a mild seafood. I don't know.
Yeah. It'll have to be very mild. If it tastes anything
fishy.
I
just thought they have these things, these octopus balls.
I didn't know octopuses had, I suppose.
Octopus balls, sort of like street food in Osaka, and we'll probably be going there. And I said, well, when in Osaka,
eat octopus.
Eat an octopus ball, right? So,
well, do they deep fry?
Yeah, it's breaded.
Do they deep fry big suckers, and then put them on a sucker and call it an all-day sucker?
No, they do have little. Apparently, get little
that's it.
Calamari that are baby calamari on a stick.
Is that the universal symbol for baby calamari?
Yeah, it's got the tentacles hanging off of it, and it's got the head. Anyway, so I don't know if I'd eat those. But the octopus is sort of fried in a dough or something, and I wouldn't mind giving it a try.
Yeah, just a nibble. See, maybe it's delicious. I don't know. It's kind of the thought. but whatever.
Yeah, but we have eaten calamari.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And we have eaten shrimp, and we have eaten crab, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're not big fish eaters, but those are things that we've eaten before. And I thought, well, when you're there, I mean, worst comes to worst, you get an order and you don't like it, you throw the rest out, right?
Yeah, I guess. Throw it to the cat. I don't know. Do cats eat octopus over there? Maybe Japanese cats do.
Maybe.
We are Siamese, if you please. Some for you and some for me. You can't do that one anymore. Apparently, it's racist, and they had to take it out of Lady in the Tramp.
Siamese isn't Japan,
well, it's
Japanese.
not. Well, it's where is Siam now? There is no Siam anymore. No, didn't they change the name of it?
Yeah, I can't remember what the name. I can't remember what Siam was.
But anyways, we digress. Major. Oh, now he's got to look it up.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I do. Where's Siam?
He has to just know. Well, anyways, while he's doing that, I'm going to talk about announcements. Sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays as usual.
Thailand.
What? Siam was
it
Thailand?
It refers to the former name of the country now known as Thailand.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, we've been there then.
Yes, we've been to Thailand.
But I didn't see any kitties running around going, some for you and some for me. No. Okay.
Yeah, we had one night in Bangkok.
Yes, we did. Okay, we digress a lot. This isn't the travel show. It's about our faves and hates. But first of all, as I'm saying, Sewing with Stephen, Wednesdays, you know the routine. Everything's in the show notes. Advanced date, October the 25th. That is the fall retreat. More information to come. And pop-up sew day. Yes, we just had a pop-up sew day on Labor Day weekend. Well, we're having another one because Walter's not going to be here and I don't want to sew alone. So that is going to be on Saturday, September the 13th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Next week in the show notes for everything I put up, there will be the link, the Zoom link for that. Okay. Any other announcements you have to make? Pregnant? Eyeball dropping out because you got sore eyeball?
Divorce.
Good. I'm taking it to the cleaners. No, I better not because as we have figured out, I actually have more than you, but I get the house. Okay. Main topic. All right. So what we did was we rated all of our cupboards and drawers and things, and we picked out things that we really use a lot and all the time that we really love. And then there's a few things in here that, well, if at the most they're mediocre, maybe use it on an occasion, and at the worst they were a complete waste of money. So we're going to be popping back and forth between, we took pictures of all of these because we thought it might be easier, and we got a lot of pictures. So let me get rid of this
I don't know
one.
if we get through all of them or not.
I don't know, we'll see. But we're going to have some overlap.
Yeah, we have some duplicates here too.
So I think the best way is I'll do a few of mine, then we'll do a few Walters, and we'll go back and forth like that. So let's start with the thing that I never thought I was really going to like, and it was on sale on a Black Friday deal on Amazon, and that is the Olysio Mini Iron. And I love this thing. It works really well. Now, this is version 2. Version 1, when they came out with it, would burn your knuckles off. On the handle, got really hot underneath the way it was designed.
And I think it was also because there was no shut off on it.
Yeah.
This one has a shut off.
An automatic shut off, yeah.
I like mine. I bought one too, and I really like it as well. It's nice portable iron.
It heats up really quick. You can use steam with it too. I don't bother because I don't use steam for anything much anymore. And but it heats up within basically seconds. Within 30 seconds, it's hot enough to press.
And what's nice about it, if you see at the top in that one, it's there's a red ring. That means it's off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you push the button,
I thought that meant we are here.
Yeah, and if you push the button in the center of that red ring, it becomes green and it means it's on. So you can immediately see when it's on and when it's off.
Yeah. It's nice, and it comes with this little silicone pad, because unlike the big Olysios that have the little like rise up automatically, this does not rise up, but you have this little silicone pad, and the little silicone pad on one side is for what it's doing right now. When you're going to travel with it, you flip it over, and it's like a Tupperware lid. It fits snugly over the bottom of the iron to protect it. And you can get a bag for it as well. We both have you've got one too, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both have a bag. It's made out of like kind of like the wool mats. It's like that, the heavy duty felt, for traveling, with it, and to keep it, protected. If you put it away, still a little bit hot, you're okay with it. So I really like it. Now the reason why I said I was surprised is because I had two of the large Alicios. One conked out after about a year, just after the warranty. I wrote to the company, they sent me another one, back for it. And they did.
Yeah.
They did send me another one. And I did like that iron until it did that. And then the second iron still works okay. But Walter bought me a tank iron, big reservoir and everything like that. So I don't use the other one. But this little one, I use it all the time. I have it right next to my sewing machine, and it's great for, quickie little presses. And as I said, it heats up really fast.
I like it for when I go on a retreat and stuff, and I find it's very nice and handy and works well. And it
has a fairly long cord on it too.
Yeah, and I thought, and like if it hasn't completely cooled off, you can when you pack it back up, the silicone mat is enough to shield it from the heat. And if you have a carrier for it, or if you put it in a big bag, it's not going to ruin anything in your bag.
So we both like our Olicio mini irons. Now pins for me, I try not to pin a lot, but sometimes you can't avoid it. I prefer the Wonder Clips, but my pins of choice are these flower head ones, which I'm sure you have seen. Now they usually come in an assorted pack. But there's the white ones, I think, are the thickest ones. And I really like those for putting things up on my design wall, because my design wall, nothing sticks to it. Because I don't have it. It's more of a design curtain. And you've seen it in other videos behind me and things like that. So I really like those pins. And I really like the blue silicone top magic pins too. Especially when I'm doing like half square triangles, want to keep them together because they're a finer pin. But if by chance you happen to iron over top of them, the top's not going to melt off. It's silicone. So I really like those. The only thing I've got against the blue ones are they're so thin, they bend very easily. And so you are replacing it. And they're not expensive. They're not cheap.
I just have the yellow topped pins. They're cheap. Because I tend to bend a lot of pins when I pin stuff together. I use a combination of pins and Wonder Clips.
And okay, now you're going to wonder, what do these two things have to do with sewing? Well, you know how when you're trying to cut something, especially if you're squaring up a quilt, and the 24-inch or longer rulers, when you're using your rotary cutting on those and you've got your hand down on it, the top part usually can slide on you unless you're going to creep your hand away. And so this is a trick that I saw with Donna Jordan way back in the day. And she used a hand weight on that top end of the ruler where there's more play on it. And it works. It's only I don't know if it's 5 pound. It might only be 3 pound. I'm not sure. You can pick them up. You can pick them up in your drugstore. I don't know if that's where I got this one or not. I think I did. I think I picked it up at the drugstore. They're for, do little arm things for old people. And that. But I use them all the time. I actually have 2 of them. But they really do help. Now, that's the same principle that's behind the Quilter Select little knob. It's got a little suction cup, and you stick it on your ruler, and it's supposed to allow you to hold it down. I don't find it that convenient. I also find it's too small if you're using it on a little ruler, it's not so bad. But the other problem is if you're using it on a little ruler and you need to see the markings on your ruler, especially if it's like a square ruler or something like that, well, you can't see through the knob.
Yeah, like you gave me one of those too, and I find I don't like using it.
Yeah, in fact, I'd forgotten I even had it until I was digging around today.
It's in my future picture of things I least like.
So this one, and they're not particularly cheap in Canada. I forget. They're like about $15 or something, or
Yeah.
something. It might be more than that.
For a knob with a suction
For a
cup
knob
on.
with a suction cup on it. Yeah, so go to your hardware store, buy yourself a cabinet knob, and get yourself a suction cup. Crazy glue the two together. You've made yourself one of these. Now, these are electronic devices I can't live without. My vacuum cleaner right here, small, portable, rechargeable battery. It comes with two attachments, a brush attachment and a crevice tool. I usually find I use the crevice tool the most, but two speeds, a low and a high, works really well. I use it for all kinds of things, and it's so lightweight. You just pick it up, there it is. It's charged up. I don't have to charge it that often. It did come though with the charging base as well, because you do need that, because this particular brand, this Works or whatever, they make like power tools as well, and these batteries are interchangeable between them all. But I love it. The little white thing, that is a vacuum as well. It's got little brushes on the bottom, but it does suck. This is great for cleaning off stuff off your cutting mat, like little pieces of thread off your wool pressing mat. I really love it. I got it from Amazon. They're not very expensive. I think they had one look like a cat, even as that. And they have a filter in them. And the filter is you can take it I just brush it off. Easy to clean, dump the stuff out, but you can take the filter and rinse it under a tap too as well, and it's fine. It's a permanent filter. It is great. Runs off of a couple of batteries, or do I have to recharge it? I can't remember. No, I think I recharged.
I think it has batteries in it.
Or this? No, yeah, there were two models. One that you could recharge with the USB, and then battery ones. I got the one with the batteries with it, because I can never find a spot to recharge things with the USB cable
And
that's convenient.
Sometimes when you buy little things like that, the rechargeable feature,
Yeah,
it doesn't work after a while.
it'll get to the point where it won't take a charge anymore. So for what it cost me, which I think was under $20, I think it was way under $20. Maybe it was around $11 or $12 Canadian. All prices in Canadian. We're talking about here, but I love it. I think it's great. The next thing is really, if you clean out your sewing machine on a regular basis, and you should be doing that, don't use canned air. Now, I used to poo-pah that idea. I used canned air because I had lots of canned air around here, because I used it with my 3D printers and stuff. Well, canned air has moisture in it.
It has an accelerant in it.
Yeah.
The accelerant has
And
moisture in it.
And if you spray that inside your sewing machine or down into the bobbin case and that, the little fuzz bunnies get a little damp and they can start to stick to things. So not a good thing to happen. This is dry air. It is rechargeable via USB cable. It has three forces to it, and it'll knock the soup right out of the pot. It is really great for getting those dust bunnies. You stick this down inside your machine and you'll have dust bunnies popping up all over the place. I can't live without it. I use it on my sewing machine. I use it on my printers. I use it anywhere where I need to have compressed air. And the beauty of it too is you don't have to buy cans of air, and you don't have the moisture problem. Again, Amazon, fine. There's a lot of them on Amazon. They vary in prices. I couldn't tell you. I don't think this one you can get anymore on Amazon, because I went looking for it one day. I think I paid maybe $35 for it at the time, but they go up in price. You don't need a really expensive one not for cleaning your sewing machine and that, but definitely a must-have. So let's switch screens over here for just a minute and take a look at some of Walter's items. Okay, tell us about these.
These are brushes I use to clean my bobbin case out, or do a cleaning around the bobbin case, which I use the big makeup brushes that I buy at the dollar store for cleaning, the bobbin case out and what's underneath the bobbin case.
And for quick little updates, yeah.
And then the little cleaning brushes, either these or I didn't put in there. I also have some pipe cleaners.
Oh.
And you can use these or pipe cleaners to clean in behind the bobbin case and around like the thread cutter and stuff like that too, in hard to reach places. And you got these and pooped them one time when
I did.
And actually I kind of like them. So I mean, this is a sealed package, but I have an open package somewhere as well.
Yeah, I pooped them at first, but then I started using them and I did like them. But then I've replaced mine with the silicone ones. They have these silicone brushes and they're good for getting right in little things. And the beauty of them is, like these, you have to throw away after you're done with them. But the silicone ones, you can rinse them under a tap, air dry them, and like you don't have to throw them away. Okay, carry on.
And the thing on the right, the silver thing, is filled with oil, and it will precisely drop one drop of oil like on the middle of your bobbin, underneath your bobbin case,
in the wick
on Janome machines. I don't know if all machines have that, but and it helps you lubricate your machine,
which you should be doing on a regular basis, but only need 1 drop of oil. And having said that, I'm going to tell you I use 2. Why do I use 2 drops of oil? 1 drop of oil to go into the wick. The other one I put on top of the wick, but it doesn't absorb it very quickly. And I take a little soft lint-free cloth and I just wipe all around inside the bobbin housing in there. And that was a trick that one of the ladies at Ultimate Sewing told me to do. I think it was Trudy, actually. And yeah, it just gets up a little bit more of the dirt that these other brushes don't get up, and keeps everything nice and clean. But this thing is, this silver thing,
it's handy because you can keep it in your bag that you take along to retreats and things like that, and it's handy it's always there for you to help you if you need to lubricate your machine.
And you don't have to worry about any of the oil leaking out of it because it's got a very secure, that twists down that top part, and the very top part that looks like a pen cap on that's what you push down. The little thing comes out and a drop of oil is on the end of this little wire. But in the top where you see those little grooves, that's where you put the oil in.
Yeah, it unscrews on the top, and you can put a little bit of oil on the top too. You don't need very much in there. No. So it's a handy place to have oil instead of carting around a big oil bottle with you.
I think they call it the 1 drop oiler or something like that, and you can get those on Amazon too, and they're not expensive. They're under $20 for one of those. What else has Walter got?
Well, these are things that I usually use for marking when I try and position where my buttons go and stuff like that, and or other things on what I need to put when I need positioning marks on my shirts and that. And I like the Bowen chalk markers. Mind you, they do break easily. So, but I tend to use white and pink a lot, depending on what color the shirt is that I'm working on, because pink sometimes shows up better and sometimes white shows up better. So I have a pen for each of those.
They also have blue leads, don't they?
They also have gold leads.
Or gold leads?
And they also have pencil leads.
Oh.
Right? But I find that you're just as well off getting a mechanical pencil, or like I have the Stadler pencil I like because it's I can sharpen the end and it'll give you a little bit more of a mark than maybe a mechanical pencil.
What do you mean you can sharpen the end? It's a mechanical pencil. I thought it's a lead.
It's a lead. It's a thick lead, though, right? Oh. But the cap at the end has a sharpener in it.
Oh.
Right? So you can just take the cap off. There's a hole in the end, and you can just sharpen the
I didn't know that. Yeah. I think I have one of those, too. Yeah. I thought I bought one. And I don't use it because I don't like it. And they're not that cheap.
No. I happen to like that one. I got used to using it a long time ago for other things. So.
I didn't know. I'll have to look for mine. I have got mechanical pencils that are considerably cheaper than that, but I really like them because there's no, on a usual mechanical pencil, I don't probably this when you twist the bottom to get the lead out. These other ones you don't. The lead automatically drops down, and as you're using it, if your lead is getting dull or running out, you just pick it up, put it back down, and it carries on with it. Oh. But the reason I don't like the Boheen ones is for what you already said. I find they break way too easily.
Well, see, the reason I use them is because, they do break easy, but I use them to mark where my buttons go. and a pencil won't work, and I don't want to use it on the front of the shirt.
Yeah.
And the marks will come off. So it's a type of chalk that they use.
And rulers.
Yeah, I like these rulers. I have, yeah, the one on the left is a combination point turner.
My ruler.
Combination point turner. And I don't really use it as a ruler, but I use it also as a hump jumper when you're going through a thick seam or something, and your the level of your fabric is higher at the seam when you've got 2 or 3 pieces of fabric that join. And
it levels out your foot.
It levels out your foot. And the other thing I use it for is when I put buttons on it, I use either the pointed end where the inlet is. I slide that underneath where the shank of the buttonhole is, so the button sews on slightly above where the fabric is, so that when you take the shirt off, it's easier to button your holes up.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, and then I've got a couple of these metal rulers I got, which is they're not sewing rulers. You buy them in a hardware store in the tool area or whatever. And I like them because they're nice and sturdy, and I can, like one I've got a slide on it to give me a constant measure if I'm going around a hem, or like the other one is I'll use it for a hem as well. And I also use the big long 12-inch ruler for hems, or where I'll use it to, I often position buttonholes about 1/2 inch from the edge of the button band, and that's where I'll put my buttonhole. And that's a good one to do that with.
Actually, that's one of my go-to rulers all the time. It's always sitting on my cutting mat.
I have a couple of those. I like they're expensive, but I like using them for a lot of things.
Yeah, they're about
12-inch rulers.
They're about $23, I think, or something like that. I've got 2 of them as well. I've got one in my travel bag and one on my desk. And do talk about this next ruler.
The other one I like to use. I'll use it for a variety of things too, because it's a nice little short ruler. I mean,
so nice that.
And I'll use it to measure. A lot of times I'll use it to measure the corners for my bags. Depending on how wide I need the corner to be. So I like it because it's a nice little short ruler. It works that way. It works well with that.
And he probably has 2 of them.
Yeah, I think I might.
Because one of them is probably mine that he can't find. I've noticed though on this one we have our initials on it, don't we? To make sure. So I went out and bought another one because I like that size too. All right, let's flop over to my stuff here. Let's see if I can find my stuff.
I mean, you can use other rulers, but it's just convenient. They're convenient sizes.
Shoot, that's not what I want to do. Move you down, move me up. There we go. We've seen that already, so. Okay, speaking of rulers, these are very specialized rulers, and they both do the same thing. One's just newer than the other. And this is the trimmer by George. So those of you that do in the hoop embroidery, these are great because on the one edge where you see the black strip, one's called by George 2.0, one's called George 3.0. I'm not really sure, except for the width of them, what the difference is. And the markings maybe on the George 3.0 are a little darker, easier to see. But there's where that black strip is, that's actually a piece of metal. And if you turned it over, you would see that it's a lip. And oftentimes you have to remove your stabilizer if it's a cutaway stabilizer, and but you don't want to cut your fabric at the top, and so you need to pull your top fabric that's got the embroidery over up against the stitches and then cut the stabilizer out. And if you use a pair of scissors to do that, or your rotary cutter, if you get too close, you might accidentally cut into your fabric, and so you've ruined your piece, or it might flop over when you're trying to work with it. This keeps it out of the way and gives you a nice steel edge to buffer your rotary cutter against, and away you go. Also though, a lot of times when you're doing in the hoop things that have to be sewn together later, they'll tell you to leave about a half inch away from the perimeter line. And so you flip this over and you've got the markings, and you can line it up along your stitched line and use your rotary cutter along that steel edge and cut away. You'll notice on the one, my older one, and the only reason I have two of them is because my old one I've been using quite a bit, and I do have a few nicks in it here and there and scratches. So last time we were in Ultimate Sewing, I picked up 3.0. But I've got a piece of masking tape on mine, you can see on the other one, because that was just, it made it a little clearer for me to see the half-inch line for the ruler. And these are made out of the same stuff as regular quilting rulers are, the same thickness and everything like that. But they are expensive. I mean, I think I paid $53 for the Trimmer by George 3.0. They're by Hoop Sisters. But I think they're actually worth the money. They are probably a little overpriced, but nobody else makes them. And speaking of Hoop Sisters, I do want to put in a bit of a mini rant here about Hoop Sisters. This is what came with the Trimmer by George 3.0. And on the back, they told you to scan this code and you could get the pattern, a free pattern for making this bag to hold your ruler in. I just hang it on the wall. But you know, you could protect it if you were going someplace with it. And it's free. And I just said how much the ruler cost. So I went to this. No, it went to a 404 page. Not there anymore. Then I did a search on their website. Yeah, you can get the pattern if you want to spend $60. Yeah, it's a pattern for making a bag, and this is included in the pattern. I mean, yeah, I know this is a very simple little thing to make. Like, they've done it with some little decorative stitches and stuff. But the point is, it says it's free. So I wrote to them over a week ago. I just wrote to them again today. I'm not going to hear from them about this. I said, look, I bought this. You said this, it's not available anymore. Oh, what's the scoop on this? I don't like Hoop Sisters. Okay, I will tell you this up front, and this is why. I don't like their customer service. I had something a couple of years ago that I wrote to them about. Never answered my email.
Crickets.
Never. Yep, exactly. Their stuff is overpriced, and their designs are extremely complicated to do. Like, 'cause they have whole quilt things on there. If you want to make a small quilt or something, I don't recommend Hoop Sisters for it. Go to OESD or one of the other embroidery sites, because their stuff is overpriced and it's not that great. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there that are going to debate this with me. Save your breath. You're not going to convince me. But mainly, it's their customer service that, as far as I'm concerned...
Yeah, I know. If you're going to put something free like that on a product that you purchase, then regardless, even if it's an old product or something like that, that should be honored.
And there is nowhere on this piece of paper where it says, you know, for a limited time only, or this will no longer be good after such and such date, like it expired. It says nothing on here whatsoever about that. So yeah, it says scan the QR code above or go to our website to download this free design. Well, you go to the website and they've got the address for it. You get a 404 page, which means it doesn't exist. And the same with the QR code. So really,
I mean, other than the fact that you like the ruler,
I like the ruler,
but I mean that you end up having to buy that ruler from them. But
yeah. But anyways, I just thought I would say that, because, and I told them that I was going to discuss this on YouTube, and I am. If by chance they happen to send me an answer to this, down the road, I will share that with you. But I don't think I'm going to hear from them due to my past experiences with them. Okay, enough of the rant. Let's get back to what we are loving and hating. So that's the rulers on mine. Okay, these three weird looking items. First of all, one of the best things I ever invested in, and you've heard me, I've done a whole review on this before. This is an electric shaver. It says Barbasol on it. Barbasol makes shaving creams and other things for men's grooming. This is a hair trimmer, but that's not what I got it for. I got it to rip seams. If you've got some long seams, and rather than taking your seam ripper and going at it, you just take this, lay it down onto a surface. I usually put it on my wool pressing mat. I put a little pin on the one layer, on the bottom layer of the fabric, just to hold it onto the cutting mat. I may use my seam ripper to take the first couple of stitches out. When I've got a gap, I use that and I go zip right up, seconds. Now you're going to say, does it cut into your fabric? The little toothies on this thing, the little cutting teeth, will not catch your fabric. They are only just big enough to catch a thread. So you don't have to worry about ripping your fabric at all. It takes a couple of AA, or maybe only just one, AA battery, which will last you forever in it. And if you can find these in your local dollar store, because that's where I'm getting them, and I've stocked up on them. I've given them as gifts and things like that, and I have a couple in reserve. If anything happens to one, I've got the other ones. $4. $4. Now, you will find the same thing in your local quilt store. They will not say Barbasol on them. They'll probably say something like Galaxy, and there'll
be a nice pink color.
There'll be a nice pink color or teal, something like that, and they'll call it an electric seam ripper, and they will charge you $25.99.
And I remember, was it the embroidery place that you didn't like, the one that made the magnetic hoop?
Dime.
Yeah, Dime had electric one, and they were charging over $100 for it, US.
Yeah, and they're exactly the same thing. In fact, the very first one I ever bought was not from the dollar store. I bought it from my local quilt store. It was $25 for it. I was so excited. I get home and I said to Walter, look at this, I got an electric seam ripper. He took a look at it. He says, wait, I've got one of those. I said, you do not. You do not. He says, yes, I do. And he went into his workshop and dug through a drawer full of stuff and pulls one out. Different name on it.
It was Wahl, which is WAHL. I purchased it at Walmart. I bought it for my mother. She was in a nursing home, and she had trouble with little hairs growing out of her face and stuff like that, right? And I bought it so that would help her trim stuff up. So,
yeah. And you didn't pay.
I think I may have paid $10 or $15 for it. I can't remember.
And you can get these on Amazon, and that's about the price of them on Amazon. But check your dollar stores out.
Yeah, they're a battery-operated hair trimmer.
Yeah, so if you go into the section, the cosmetic section, or where they have like hair cutting supplies or scissors and shaving supplies, you might find it. It's hit and miss. That's why I have so many of them. Because every time I go into the dollar store, I take a look and see if they've got any more. And sometimes there'll be months before they ever get any more in, and then another time there'll be all kinds of them. And like I said, now I buy them from Dollarama, which is a Canadian dollar store that we have all over Canada. But just check in other ones. I've heard other people getting them, especially in the States, at some of their dollar stores as well. But once you've used it, you're going to love it. And I do have a video somewhere on the Idiot Quilter, probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where I actually showed you how I use it.
It also will let you, if you have thread nests at the back of your embroidery and stuff like that, it'll help you clean that up.
Help to shave those down and whatnot. It is great. Yeah, I can't say too much about it. It's one of my favorite tools. Now, the one beside it looks kind of rude. Like, what the heck do you do with this? Well, This is actually marketed as something else. It is a wool pressing mat cleaner, but that's not the original use for it. I think it might be a brush for dogs and cats with thick fur. But what it is, actually, it might be for horses. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember what the original use for that was.
It was something for an animal. Anyways, what it is, it's got these little teeth, very fine teeth at the upper part where it looks a little yellow at the top, on both sides. And all you do is take it and drag it across your wool mat, and you're going to get fuzzies out, but you're also going to get out, if you've got some stains, you'll get those out. Sometimes you get like something like, say you use some interfacing, that iron-on interfacing, or steam-a-seam or something, and you got a little bit of that caught onto your mat. Well, this will help pull it up. It just refreshes your mat really nicely, fluffs it a little bit more. Yes, and don't panic, you will get a lot of
So it sounds like
fuzz.
It's taking like a very tiny layer.
It is. It's cutting off a very thin layer of the upper threads, or upper, I don't know what you call it, loft or whatever, off the wool mat. Works like a charm. Absolutely love it. So every now and then I will go over my pressing mats, my wool pressing mats with it when I think they're getting a little, well, compressed, because they do. The wool pressing mats will get a little hard over time, but I find that if you use this on a regular basis, your mat will last a lot longer. Now, the little item beside it is a useless little tool. Well, I shouldn't say useless. It sort of does work. It came in the Missouri Star Quilt Advent box. And what it is, it's a little silicone thing, and there's a knob on the other side for hanging onto it. And it's all little rough edges, and they've done it in a pattern of a quilt block. But you get little cuts in your cutting mat. Even though they're self-healing, there'll still be little cuts, and sometimes threads get caught down in those, and they're very difficult to get out. This you just take and you wipe around in circular motion all over your mat, and you will pick up a lot of gunk. Now, what I do with it sometimes is I will spray with something that will not take off my numbers on my mat, just a little bit of soapy water kind of a thing, and go over the mat with this as well. So it's a scrubber. It's a non-abrasive scrubber. The reason I say I'm not that fond of it is because I think you can do the same thing with a microcloth.
Yeah.
You know, this is a gimmick kind of thing, but in a pinch, it does work. And we'll do one more of me. Okay, find of the month was this Medicare tape at the dollar store. For those, again, this is for those of you that do machine embroidery. Sometimes you have to hold some of your fabric out of the way of the needle because you're doing something else, and they will tell you to tape it back. Well, I have used embroidery tape that's meant for that, which is extremely expensive, like close to $20 for a small roll, and that stuff does not stick worth a tinker's damn. You can use masking tape, but masking tape, it's hit and miss, because not all masking tapes are the same. Especially if you buy the ones that are in the dollar store, they tend to be less sticky. But what happens is, if they're stickier too, they will leave a residue on your fabric. This costs $1.25 at our Dollarama. I think it was, or $1.50. It might have been $1.50. Yeah, $1.50 at Dollarama for this roll. It is a bit stretchy. They call it a clear either silicone or Teflon. I'm not sure what they say on the package.
That's not a good pickup.
Stretches for those hard to tape areas.
It's actually stuff to hold gauze down.
On
bandage. On
a
wound.
Oh, it's latex. It's made from latex. This holds really well and peels back off really easily. I'm loving it. I love it so much. We bought 12 packages of it.
Yeah, well, you can probably also find it at your drugstore.
Yes.
It'll be more
it's
expensive.
We did find it in the drugstore too. And I mean, there's different brands. This is just the one that the dollar store had Medicare, but there's others. Just go in the bandage section and you'll find it. But even in the drugstore, it's going to be cheaper than buying that embroidery tape, which is useless for it. So that's my find of the year so far. Wonder Clips, I love them. I've loved them since day one. I just wish they weren't so expensive. However, I did go on Temu and bought a whole bunch of them, and Amazon as well, for a lot less money. And they might not be quite as well built as Wonder Clips.
Yeah, I find that the cheap ones that you get sometimes break.
They snap off. But at what the cheap ones cost, you can afford to throw it away and, you know, buy some more with it. But either way, whether you get the cheap ones or you get original Wonder Clips, which are way overpriced, I love them. And I'm not a pinner. As I said, I don't like using, if I can get away without using pins, I will. But these, I will use in place of that.
I use Wonder Clips a lot when I'm doing my shirts.
And bag making.
And bag making. Actually, especially bag making. And I like to actually, when I do the bag making, I sometimes use the big Wonder Clips, you know.
The longer ones.
Yeah.
And I love those ones too. I love the longer ones. I love those for taking, when I'm sorting my fabric and cutting out pieces for whatever I'm making. I'll use those to hold it all together because there's just a little more space.
I mean, I use pins as well, but not as much as I use Wonder Clips.
But yeah, Wonder Clips, I have hundreds of them. What's beside it there, which has the label is off of it, this is the Acorn Precision Pressing Solution pen. It's essentially a water brush. I was not a big advocate for the Acorn pressing solution at one time because, you know, you put it on your seam, it'll make it nice and flat when you press it. I use it all the time now. I was converted to this. I buy the stuff by the jug. And this is great for, you know, if you've got a seam in your quilt that will not lay flat, all you do is take a little of this, you just brush it across the seam, give it a couple of seconds to soak in, and then press it with a dry iron. It'll go right down flat. It's great for that. Acorn Precision, they have the pressing solution. They also have a glue. Their products are great. The only product they have that I do not like is that they have an electric mister. And mine doesn't work. Mine stopped working after about 2 weeks. And just like those stupid mister bottles that you pay in a store about $25 for in a quilting store because you got a fancy base. Well, every one I've ever had, whether expensive or cheap, they eventually just stop sucking. And there's videos on YouTube showing you how to clean them out and do the whole thing with them. And I have done that, and they never work again. What I buy is a spray bottle from Canadian Tire. And that's where I put my pressing solution is when I want to mist it. And they cost about $2-3. And they work well. And the thing is, if they eventually will go too, because, you know, spray bottles always do, it's cheap to replace. So the electric thing was about $100 and some odd, and it's a piece of crap. So, but their solutions are excellent, and they're a Canadian company. Yeah. Okay. This is not strictly for quilting or sewing, but I love my baskets from the dollar store.
That's for sure.
I have a lot of baskets. But you see how fat quarters can fit in the baskets? I put the pieces that I'm preparing for a quilt in the baskets. I put little odds and ends in the baskets. I might have threads that I've picked out for an embroidery project. I put them in the basket. And I love my baskets. And every time we're in the dollar store, Walter goes, "You're buying more baskets. How many hundred do you have?" I have a lot of baskets. I use them for lots of things. Can you have too many baskets? I don't think so. Okay, so let's click over to Walter, if I can find where it has gone. Write that up there. You're hidden here somewhere. Okay, where are you? Walter. Walter, why can't I find you?
Is it over down there somewhere?
Oops, that's not it. Where? That one. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not in. Oh, there we go. Okay, is that where we?
Yeah, that's a. Don't go that one.
Where do we leave off?
Okay, go back. Scroll back.
Oh,
Okay,
wait.
we have pens. The rulers. Okay, we did
Get
rulers.
that. Okay, this.
Okay,
here
now
we go.
pins. This is where I hold my pins. I always have magnetic pin holders. And the one in the blue one in the middle is the one I use the most. The one at the end with the cover on it, that's the one I packed for a retreat and stuff because it's got a cover on it. And it's a magnetic pin holder as well.
I had one of those once. I don't know. I never used it.
The one on the extreme left is an industrial one I got from a hardware store.
You got it from Princess Auto, didn't you?
Yeah, and it works pretty good too, and it's cheap.
Yeah, considerably cheaper. In fact, they come in
It's
a pack
a lot
of
cheaper
three.
than the blue one or the green one.
And you can get a package of three of them. They're in three different sizes.
The only thing is the magnet's so strong on these the magnet's so strong on these that sometimes the pins are hard to get out of them. But you'll notice there I have a few bent pins in there.
And another thing that this is good for, these ones from Princess Auto, the magnet's on the bottom.
Yeah.
So if you drop some pins on the floor, all you need is just to wipe this across the floor and you'll pick them all up.
Well, I'll do the same thing with the blue one if I'll turn it upside down and
well,
sweep
same
the floor.
principle,
Yeah,
I guess.
but these little metal ones that you get from a hardware store, and you can probably pick them up cheap all over the place. Chuck them in the dollar store and stuff like that.
They're meant for, nuts and bolts and
meant
things like
for
that.
nuts and bolts, but they're good to have because, like Steve says, the magnet on the bottom and stuff is good for picking stuff up too.
And I use it. One of them, I put it on my Lucy down near the needle when I'm cleaning Lucy, and I'm taking screws out to lift up the cover plate. That way I don't drop because the screws are small and they sit right in there, and it sits on the metal of Lucy, and I don't have to worry about them spilling around. So they're very useful things, these trays. I use them a lot for my 3D printing too when I'm taking a printer apart.
And these are my favorite seam rippers. Well, sort of. I have the Clover seam ripper, and I have the lighted seam ripper, and I have the wall. That's the original wall one that I used for my mother that I got at Walmart. And
I hope you cleaned it.
Yeah, I did. And it's
little chinny hairs hanging out of it. Ew.
I cleaned it, and it works great. I've had it. I probably since I bought it in 2002. That's how long that's how old it is.
I mean, it's still lasting.
And the other one is my Clover stiletto or awl or whatever you want to call it. And I will sometimes use it, not necessarily for seam ripping, but to pull threads out of stuff. I find the point is the point on the stiletto is finer than the point on a seam ripper. So sometimes if you get a tricky thread at the end that won't pull out, you can stick it underneath the thread and it pulls it up enough for the seam ripper to come through.
And I have one of these too, and I use it all the time. And what I use it for mostly is when I'm sewing tiny pieces and I need to keep them straight when they're going under the needle. I will use the pointed end of that to hold the fabric down. Or when, you put your two little pieces together to make your 1/4-inch seam and you're getting near the bottom, and because your feed dogs will pull the, is it the top? It pulls the top will move faster than the bottom, or the bottom. Anyways, you might have a little, like 1/8 of an inch that you're not matching up. I find that if I get in there with the stiletto and just pull the two pieces together and hold them down with that, then it all fits together.
I'll use it for that as well. And the only thing is you just have to be careful to get into a tight point when you're trying to pull threads out and stuff. You can tend to let it slip. And it has a very sharp point on it.
Ask us how we know.
Ask us how I know. I've pierced my fingernail twice with it.
Yeah, I've stabbed myself with it too as well. So it's very, very sharp.
It'll go right through your finger now.
Don't go running through the house with it. This, I have the same seam ripper, this one. I have a lot of different seam rippers, but I love this one. It has a little light in the end. There's some of these round batteries, you can see them through Walter's little tape because what? The cover came off?
The cover came off and I can't seem to find it.
Yeah, I had the same problem, but I found my cover. The covers on them don't fit very well. So what I did was I put the cover on it and I just put a little piece of tape like Walter's got over that cover and it holds it in there.
I'm sure it's in the bottom of my bag somewhere. So,
but it lights up, and you know, you're gonna think, well, that's just a gimmick. Actually, the light is very bright and it is very helpful,
especially if you're trying to get black stitches out of a black piece of fabric.
Yeah. And actually, we poo-pod this first. It came in the Christmas bag, Advent type bag from Kawartha Quilting, and I went, oh yeah, another seam ripper, big deal. Then I pulled it out and turned on, and I started using it, and thought, no, this is a good seam ripper. I really quite like it. So I use mine all the time. I don't always use it with the light on.
No.
But in fact, I sometimes forget it lights up, but I don't usually need to have any more
Actually, it
light.
is actually a very good seam ripper without even the light on it.
And it does have a cap.
My other go-to one is the clover one. And the only reason I have the clover has a piece of tape at the bottom on it is that when I put the stiletto in my bag and the clover in my bag at the same time, the ends both look the same. So I know the one with the tape on the end is the seam ripper.
Good tip for those of you that might be visually impaired.
I mean, you can put anything on it. Like, I mean, maybe I should have put a colored piece of tape on it.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, I don't know what this is.
Okay, this is actually a leather notcher I got from a leather supply place, and I use it if you're sewing garments. You often have to have markings to show where the top of your sleeve is and the bottom of your sleeve is, like the front of your sleeve and the back of your sleeve. So on the pattern, there's a little part where you either cut out a little V with your scissors, or in this case, I have a leather notcher, and it makes a perfect little 1/4 inch notch on my pattern piece that I don't have to, that's quicker for me to do and more accurate. So I use that for that, and I love that thing.
Well, it just looks like a torture device to me.
Yeah, looks like a nail clipper bag.
Yeah, it does. That's why I thought it might have been when I first saw it. But so let's go and take a look at, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to take a look at my stuff. Oh, look, it's there. We saw that. Just go down to, saw that. Oh, okay. I have a variety of ruler holders. Some of them I actually made on my 3D printer. But I love them because they keep everything nice and neat and organized. These little short ones are ones that I had made in my printer. Then I have this wooden one down here. I think that was the first one that I ever bought. This is supposed to be a ruler holder too. That came from the Missouri Star Quilt Advent box last Christmas. Useless piece of shit that it is. It looks cute. It's nice. It holds really small rulers. Right now I've got another useless thing that it came in that Christmas thing for holding your binding. Well, I shouldn't say it's useless. I don't use it. And there's a couple little spindles on the back of this for, I guess, thread or something. So you can't use it as a ruler holder with thread on it, or it gets in the way if you want to use thread. And somebody said because it's made out of wood, that it would also serve as a clapper. But
it's not thick enough, I think.
Well, there's too many things that it does that don't, and none of them that doesn't do it right. It was a waste of money.
I think a clapper should be thicker than that.
Yeah, it was a waste of money. But I love my ruler holders, and I have one that I designed that sits for my most frequently used rulers, like that 12-inch one we were looking at earlier, and a few other ones that I use quite a bit. And I've got it sitting right on the side of my cutting mat area because it's right handy where I reach for it. And I built things into the back of it to hold my rotary cutter and little notepad and stuff like that. So all that I did on my own kind of design. This is kind of moved over here. Let's go. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. This is well used. This is a small rotary cutting mat. I love it. I love it so much that I bought a huge one as well. I use this one more frequently. This is great when you've got it, if you're trimming up squares of fabric or whatever, and you know you don't want to be in an awkward position with your rotary cutter in your hand because you may not have a hand after you're done. So you just put it on there, turn it whatever way you need to so that it lines up fine so you can cut comfortably, and away you go. I use it all the time, and the big one will handle like a huge block as well. If you don't have one, I recommend them. I do not recommend the Martelli rotary one. They have one that looks like a Lazy Susan, and it has accessories. It has like a pressing mat on it, and it has a cutting or something else with it. From what I have heard, I've never had one, but I've heard a lot of people complain that it can't take the heat. It will melt the cutting surface if you try to when you put the other thing on top of it. Don't know how true that is. I haven't used one, but I'm not a Martelli person. I don't like their products, and that's something I should have showed you too that I forgot all about that I hate. I got one of their, it's not a ruler, it's a straight edge thing, but it's supposed to grip your fabric really well, and they come already, like if you want to cut 2.5-inch strips, they have one that's got a slot in it for 2.5-inch strips, and you zip up with that and your fabric doesn't move, but it's made out of a solid block of some kind of stuff. There's no markings on it and you can't see through it. It's completely useless as far as I'm concerned. There'll be other people that will swear by it, because I know there are Martelli lovers out there who right now are probably burning across in front of the computer screen as I say that I do not like Martelli products, but I do not like Martelli products, period. And besides, they're an American company. We don't order from the Americans anymore. So what I use instead are the Stripology rulers, and there's a bunch. I have 3 different sizes of these. This is my smallest one. I use it quite a bit, but I use my large one, and I have a middle-sized one. I love these bloody rulers. They have slots in them. You put your rotary cutter in there, line it up, and you cut straight lines. Now, what some people say they don't like is it creates a wow in your strip of fabric because they will bend. Yes, it will do that if you're not careful. You just have to make sure you aren't putting pressure against the slot.
Now, could it also be that their rotary cutter is not, we call it sharp enough?
That
or
too.
Or could it also be that they have too many layers of fabric?
That too. There's a lot of different reasons for it. The bigger one, the biggest one I have, I'm on my 2nd or 3rd one of those. My first one broke on me after time. They broke at one of the joins here. It came down because the very first ones that they made were a little bit on the thin side. They have improved it since. I ordered a second one after that one went, and it came broken. That wasn't the fault of the manufacturer. That was the fault of the postal system. You know, do not fold, spindle, or mutilate, and they did that anyways. But like I said, I have them in 3 different sizes, and I love them. And they do a lot more than just cut strips. If you'll notice, there are markings on them for squares of fabric, and it comes with a complete instruction manual for, not a manual, document for using them and for getting the most out of them. And there's lots of videos on YouTube as well, put up by Gudrun. Gudrun is the person who, Gudrun Earl. She is the designer of the Stripology rulers, and she actually has patterns that for making quilts using the Stripology rulers to cut all your pieces pretty much in. But they're great. I love them. I absolutely love them. Can't say too much about them. Okay, these are as useless as tits on a boar. I am telling you. Okay, why do I have 3 boxes of them? Okay, sounds like a great concept, Quilt Builder card deck. So there's these cards, and they have blocks on them, or they have like half square triangles on them and things like that. And you basically lay them out. And if you want to design a quilt, you place the pieces like a jigsaw puzzle all over the place, rearrange them and whatnot. And there you go. You've got a pattern. Sounds like a great idea. I've used them about once. And sometimes if I'm really stuck for an idea of how to design my own quilt, I have used them for that, but very infrequently. Well, I've got 3 boxes of them. This one is the half square triangle box. It's all half square triangles. This one has different shapes that'll make these types of blocks and other ones. One I bought. This one you see up front came in the Missouri Star Advent box last Christmas, and it's supposed to be exclusive for Missouri Star Quilt. Well, it's got most of the same things as the first card set, except it says includes everyday and Christmas blocks. There's your Christmas blocks. Right there. The candles. There wasn't much more. I think they were counting a star as a Christmas block. There wasn't a heck of a lot in there.
I guess if you use Christmas colors, it becomes Christmas.
I guess it does. I don't know. These are not cheap, at least here in Canada. I think it was about $40 or something for a box of these. So I don't really recommend them. You know, I have Electric Quilt 8, and I will use it as to design if I'm designing a quilt in it. Steeper learning curve, not as easy, and it's an expensive program in comparison to these. So I guess if you're somebody who doesn't want to use graph paper to draw out a pattern, an original pattern, if you like playing cards, this might be something for you. It's not absolutely horrible. I get the idea behind it, but the idea sounded better than the actual function of it. My wool pressing mat, one of them. I have many. I have ones that are smaller than this that are in my travel bag. I have this one that fits next to my sewing machine, and then I have a great big huge one that's on my pressing table, my proper pressing table. These were expensive when they first came out, and they, depending on where you buy them, they still can be, and the size. But Amazon has them now, and a lot of places are selling them for a lot less money. However, you got to be aware of something. There are wool pressing mats, and then there are wool pressing mats. It's the thickness. I buy fairly thick ones. The thicker they are, the more expensive they're going to be. If you get ones that are like a 1/4 of an inch in thickness, you may not be happy with that. Also, something that people aren't aware of. These allow heat to go all the way through. So if you put this on top of a surface that is not heat resistant and you don't want to mark it up, then don't use any thickness of wool pressing mat, because your heat, your steam will go right through. I have mine on top of a couple of 3/4 inch pieces of wood that I have covered in batting and then with cotton muslin. And then this sits on top of those. And that protects the table that I have underneath it. So yeah, just beware of that, because I've heard a lot of people who go, they've melted. They've put it on one of those collapsible, well, mine is on a collapsible folding table. This particular mat. I do have a thing underneath it, but that's just to keep it from sliding. I don't use steam in that little iron. I only use my little iron on this, and I'm only using it for a few seconds, so there's not enough heat that gets through that's going to damage the table. But just beware of that. Okay, do I have anything else? Oh yeah, and then we'll go back to yours. You know, I love baskets. Well, I love boxes too. Project boxes. This is what I keep projects that I'm working on, or fabric that I want to keep out of my stash. And I label everything with my label maker. And that's another thing I should have mentioned, is my brother label maker. I've had it for years. I love it. I love to label things. I label everything. And I think it's a product I can't live without either. But you can see I have a lot of project boxes. And then scissors. I think Walter's got scissors too. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to yours. And let's see. There. Is there anything before that? Oh yeah, this is where what is this?
This is a big giant zipper seal bag.
Will it hold a baby?
It's good for carrying if you have a quilt that you want to carry around.
So it would hold a baby.
Yeah, you can put.
Okay.
But it's a great big huge zipper seal bag that I buy at a dollar store. They're not overly. They're fairly inexpensive. I think Ziploc makes a similar product, but it's a lot more expensive.
And you can get a quilt in that.
Yeah, you can get a quilt in there. I sometimes put all my my project or something like that I'm working on in it to go to a retreat or something like that. So I find they're handy. They've got a lot of room in them, and you can see through them, so you can see what's in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought I'd throw that in there as a tool.
And actually, when I said you can get a quilt in it, I don't recommend storing quilts in them because you want to have some air circulation around your quilts. But if you're taking a quilt somewhere to give to somebody or to drop off at a charity or something like that, they're good for that too. I think they'll hold up. I think I've gotten a queen quilt in there. And scissors.
Yeah, so I've got an LDH scissor at the extreme left, and the black one next to it is a knockoff scissor, or not even a knockoff scissor. I think it's one that I purchased on Amazon for a lot less than the LDH scissor that cuts just as nice as the LDH scissor, and they look somehow similar. They look the same, and I think actually they've come from the same manufacturer.
We did some research some time ago about this company. This company was claiming they were a Canadian company, and they made it sound like they make them here and they were designed here. Well, no, they're a distributor. They have family roots or connections to, it's a family business, we think, a huge family business corporation in China that makes these scissors. And so Walter did some.
I did some research, and I found about 2 or 3 other different brands of scissors that looked exactly the same on Amazon.
Which basically are being made by the same company.
And actually, I researched a bit; they were being made by the same company, and they cut. I can't really tell the difference between the LDH and this one. So I have about 2 or 3 of these other black ones hanging around that I bought, and I think they ran around $12 to $15 on Amazon,
whereas the LDHs run
30 or 40 or
$50 or $60, depending on how big you get. However, having said all this about them, they are good scissors.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the LDH is not a good scissor. It is actually a go-to good scissor.
Yep.
But you can find cheaper scissors on Amazon that seem to work just as well.
Yeah, but they are good scissors.
Yeah, and then there's another fabric pair of scissors that I'm not sure what brand that is, that I originally bought at our sewing place when we first started sewing. And I'm not sure if they're Kai or not.
I don't think they're Kai. They might be Fiskars.
No, they're not Fiskars. But anyway, they were more inexpensive fabric scissor. They do not cut as well as the LDH or the other black scissor. But they cut well enough that I tend to grab it frequently when I'm cutting fabric. Then at the far right is the Quilters Select duckbill scissors.
Yeah.
And I use them quite a lot as well. Sometimes for applique and embroidery. And the one next to it is one that actually I use a lot for applique and for embroidery when I do it. Steve doesn't like using that.
I don't like the ones with the little pointy on them. But I do love the duckbill ones. I have 2 pairs, a large pair. I don't have Quilter Select though. I think.
Yes, you do.
Is mine Quilter Select?
I'm sure it is.
You think? do you think? Oh, they are. They're Quilter Select. Okay, I use them all the time.
I have a cheaper brand that has a bigger duckbill on it that I got somewhere else, and I don't like it as much as the Quilter Select. I really like the Quilter Select one.
And I have another pair that are smaller, kind of a mini, which are Janome.
Yeah.
They work okay too, but I like this size better
Yeah.
than the smaller ones.
Now the other one I happen to like for applique as well in my embroidery machine when I've used it. So I use it interchangeably with the Quilter Select one.
But I don't like the pointy ones. So I just
yeah, I don't know. I just got used to.
And they have are these ones? They have a curve in them, right?
Yes,
so you get over top of your hoop.
Yeah,
as what the principle is. I take my hoop out, not apart. I take my hoop out when I'm doing trimming for applique and that. I just find it's easier.
Well, I do too.
Yeah.
But
this was designed so that you didn't have to take the hoop out, but it's still
yeah.
Very
But if
awkward.
you look, the Quilter Select has a bend in it.
Yeah,
too.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. They do. They have a bend too. Well, I don't use it that way.
Okay.
Oh, what's this?
These are my pressing aids for my shirt.
Okay, so
the Wawak one is actually got what do you call it, clapper on the bottom, but it's a point press. If you notice, there's a point at the end on the thing. That's for when you're pressing the point in your collars.
Oh, okay.
For shirts.
When you're trying to make a point.
Yeah, I mean, you've pushed out the point in your collar, but this is a good place to iron the seam in that collar. You usually iron the collar inside out, and you have to press the inside seam at the top of the collar flat. So this is actually very good at pressing it right down to the corner.
And what are these other two?
Okay, and these are called hams. They're all they're kind of stuffed with filler or
like
other
cheese?
cloth or something.
They stuff them with cheese?
No, it's not
ham and cheese.
Ham and cheese. There's the wide one is more for doing shoulder seams and stuff like that, and the skinnier one is good for shoving down a arm sleeve or a pant leg and pressing the seam down in there.
Down a pant leg, you say?
Yeah, and it's good as the idea is you're pressing seams on rounded edges.
Oh, okay.
Right, which are hard to do. You can't really press the seam of the inside of a sleeve on a flat surface because it's curved. So you need a curved base to be able to press your seam properly when you're doing a shirt.
Something that I don't think we'd use very often in quilting.
No.
And what do we got here?
These are things I don't use or don't like. And one is the far left. That is supposed to be a tool for you to evenly seam buttonholes or buttons on the front of your shirt, or garment or coat or something.
So you mean the spacing between buttons, so that all your spacing is equal?
Yeah. Okay. But actually, if you pull it apart, you got to make sure that they come apart equally. Otherwise, it is possible that they're not equally apart.
So it sounds kind of fiddly to me.
It is kind of fiddly. I tried using it a couple of times and I just sort of gave up on it. And I mean, maybe if you get the real hang of it or something, it works well. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But I still just like to measure in and measure down where it's supposed to be a quick way to put buttonholes on the front of a shirt.
You can also use it for other forms of measuring where you need to have equal distance.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Okay,
so
what else you got?
I haven't really used it much. I may try and use it again sometime. There's the Martelli
Hate it.
rotary cutter.
Hate it.
I tried using it. I just didn't like it. I just could not get used to it.
It's supposed to be ergonomically correct for comfort, but I have heard people say that if you like to cut sitting down, that this works much better in that position than it does standing up. I don't know. I have the 45 and the 60. I could never get used to using them. I don't like them. I never use them.
I never cut sitting down, so
yeah,
I
don't
can't
either.
really I can't, and there's no reason why it would cut sitting down, I think. So standing up, I don't like cutting with it. So it sits in a drawer.
And they're not.
And I pull it out every time we have one of these.
Yeah, because there's something we love to hate.
Yeah. Now, below that is an LDH snips. And I tend not to use these because they're really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They're a very heavy product to be using for snips. It was in my scissors thing, but the picture got cut off. I just use a pair of cheap snips for that sometimes, or I'll use my duckbill scissors to cut threads.
And these ones too, what I don't like about them, and it doesn't matter what brand, I don't like how you cut with them. You're supposed to wrap your hand around it and press it down instead of having, 2 holes for your fingers. And I don't like that feel. That's why I never use these kind of things.
It's a really good pair that I've got, but I just don't, I find I don't really like using them that much.
So what's the thing beside it?
Yeah, it's an iron-on seam gauge.
No.
Right? Now, it's came from China, so all the measurements are actually about 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. And the idea is that if you're making a 3/8 of an inch hem on, let's say, the bottom of a shirt, that it's iron safe, so you can
so you fold your fabric over it
or under it, and it measures your 3/8 of an inch seam, and you can iron on it, right? Because it won't melt, right? And I tried using it a couple of times, but I just find I eyeball it now. The 3/8 of an inch, it's not that on shirts. Doesn't have to be accurate. So.
And you've got the knob from Quilter Select, like I had, and we've already talked about that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Do you have any more pictures here? No, that's the end of yours.
I don't know. I think you made a miss.
What, did I miss one? What did I miss?
Steam-a-seam.
Yeah.
Steam-a-seam. I use this all the time. It's a 1/4 inch steam-a-seam roll. And it's basically sticky. Has a paper backing, and it's sticky on one side, or actually sticky on both sides, but has a paper backing. I do it to keep, let's say when I do a button band on a shirt, I need the button band to fold over at a certain point, and it folded over, and I will steam-a-seam the edge of it in place. And so the button band is in the proper place, and then also over what happens is I steam the button band down, or the steam-a-seam down on the edge of the button band. I fold it over, take the paper backing off, which exposes the sticky on the other side, and steam down the button band, fold it over all the way down so the button band stays in place with the steam-a-seam for me to sew over top of it and hold down the button band. The steam-a-seam is supposed to be permanent, but I like having a stitch all the way down. I also use it when I'm hemming the bottom of a shirt. I'll seam the hem down before I stitch it so that it doesn't move when I'm stitching it. And that's about it. That's about where I use it in a shirt.
Now you can use it, and it says right on the package, ideal for binding. I do have heard of people using this for when you fold your binding over to the front of the quilt, or whichever, if you're sewing it down with a sewing machine, or to the back of the quilt if you're stitching it by hand, and it holds it in place so you don't need to clip it or pin it. In my way of thinking, I've never really tried it for that because I clip all the way around on mine, and in the time that it would take to put down the steam-a-seam and hit it with the iron and all that kind of stuff, I could have it all clipped, and that works for me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to figure out if it's worthwhile using for your particular item. I do find I like using it for certain items. I also recommend that you buy Steam-a-Seam 2. There's also a product that called Steam-a-Seam without the 2 at the end of it. And it is more, the Steam-a-Seam without a 2 at the end of it is more difficult to work with. The Steam-a-Seam 2 is a little better to work with. And what's different about it is that when you Steam-a-Seam down 2 and you pull the backing paper off, it comes off clean. If you use steam a seam without the tube after it, the backing paper is difficult to take off. And I have a feeling that's why this steam a seam tube product is out there. They've now improved it so the backing comes off better.
So why not just get rid of the regular steam a seam?
Yeah, I don't know.
Steam a seam too.
I don't know.
Maybe they had a lot of it stockpiled. I don't know. Okay, I think I still had, that was all yours.
Yeah.
No, cancel that. Bugger off. Go away. There we go. Mine.
What you didn't talk about, your little snips.
No, we've already talked about the LDH scissors. I do have a pair that are really long that cost about $80 or $90 that were meant to cut batting, and I have talked to the company about it. I don't like them because they get caught in the loft of the batting when you're trying to go across. I have another pair of scissors that are meant for cutting batting that weren't as expensive, but I bought at my local long arm dealership, and I like them a lot better because they glide along.
And don't they have like they don't have a pointed top?
No,
right?
They don't have. And that's the problem with the scissors that LDH makes for cutting batting. They have a pointy tip, and the tip drives into your batting, whereas the other pair I have are blunt and they slide right through. I love these are my snips that I use. These happen to be Janome ones. And I love them for a couple of reasons. They do work very well, but you know, I've got this lanyard with this little piece of plastic tubing, which I replace every now and then. And you're wearing them around your neck, and half the time I go out of the house wearing them around my neck because there's something that I wear a lot. Not because it's a fashion accessory, just because this is a necessity. And you just pull them out from that tube, snip, snip, goes right back in. The only problem is these tubes start to wear down and stretch out a little bit, and you look down to pull your scissors out and you've lost them somewhere on the floor. And there have been many times when I haven't been able to find my little snips because that's what they've done. So I do buy the plastic tubing. You just go to like a hardware store or something. It's just like a Home Depot or whatever. You can buy this thin plastic tubing by the foot or whatever. And I just cut off a chunk and punch a hole in it with my stiletto on the end to go over that ring, and that fixes up the problem. What else do I have here? We've already seen those. We've seen those. Now, okay. I've got the best and the worst here. Okay, making your binding. You know that we fold the 2.5 inch or 2 1/4 inch piece of stripping, and you fold it over in half and you press it, and that makes your binding. Okay, it is a bit of a pain in the butt. Fold it, press it, fold it, press it, especially because you're dealing with something that's 200, 300, 400 inches long. And it's very easy to burn your fingers while you're doing it with the iron. This orange thingy here is a silicone pad, and you notice there's 2 little loops in it. You take your binding, you fold the first 6 inches of it or so in half as you normally would, and give it a little bit of a press, and then you shove that through those little hoops, and you place your iron right on top of the binding and this pad, right in this center area. And so all you need to do is pull your binding through and it folds it as it's going through, and your iron's already there. Now, that sounds a little bit easier than it is. What I find is I have to guide it from the right. I'm right-handed, so from the right edge as it's going under to make sure it's folding over properly. And this pad on my wool mat tends to slide, so I put a piece of that rubberized shelf liner that you can buy. I put that underneath it when it sits there, and that seems to hold it a little bit more secure. But I really love it. It does a good job. It cost me about $80 for this thing. Now, at the time, they were just new in the market. I got them from a store in Canada, and I had to pay shipping, so that's what added up the price. In the States, I think they're about $30, American or something like that. You might find it on Amazon now. I don't know. But I love it. It is a great thing. I can't live without it for making binding. Now, the little tool beside this is a piece of crap. And it was an expensive piece of crap. It's basically, and I did a demo with this and showed you why it was a piece of crap back some time ago. But essentially, it's like a clamshell. You take the little blue clips on the sides, they come off the side, just pull them apart, open it up where that arrow is. There's a little guide inside. You fold your binding over to start it. You push it in there and out through the other end. And then you put that top shelf, fold it back together, and clamp it down with those things. And the idea is you do not need to use heat or anything. You just pull your binding through and you've got binding. And it's all like sort of like a really good finger press. No, it's not. Piece of crap. One, it does not press the fabric solid enough. You need an iron with this. Second of all, it doesn't stay in the track. They didn't make the track on both pieces. They made it on one part. They should have made it on the top and the bottom. So it slides around in there and it goes crooked, and then your binding is crooked. Two, do not waste your money on this device because these are expensive. I think I paid $40 for this, and it comes in two sizes. I have the 2.5 inch for binding, and there's a 2 1/4. Don't waste your money. It sounded like a great idea in concept. It needs some more engineering to make it really work well. Nope, I like the pad. It works the best for me. And I think that's it. That's all. So that's a whole bunch of our faves and hates today, and I am sure you have your own personal preferences, and I'm sure some of the things that we don't like you love, and some of the things we absolutely love you don't love. So that's the way it works. So you don't need to write comments about that, because we know we all have our personal taste. This is ours, but maybe there were a few things here you've never seen before or heard of. So you might want to look into those more if they've caught your eye. Okay, so next week, maybe, we might be starting Walter's bag demo / tutorial. Maybe. I know I keep saying that every week, don't I? But in the meantime, there will be something next week. I just don't know for sure exactly what it will be. But we're always looking for your suggestions and ideas. So please put them in the comments below. Send them to me as an email message. We love all ideas. We can work with all ideas. They often spark us to think of something we hadn't thought of before. So, yeah. Okay. Anything you want to say?
Nope.
All right. That's it. Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.